Hello everyone, Ryan Embry here with The Sweet Spot. We are live here at the Independent Hotel Show. Emily, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me on your show. I'm so excited to be here.
We're very excited. This has been an incredible event, but let's first talk introduction maybe to our Sweet Spot audience and
sure.
hertelier, maybe the inspiration behind it.
Yeah. I started hertelier with my partner Nancy Mendelson in 2021, sort of like the tail end of the pandemic. And it was based on my experience, both I used to run the PR for Lowe's Hotels and also then as a journalist, where I noticed that women weren't being covered as much, but yet they were starting to make progress in what had historically been a very male-oriented business.
Sure.
When I worked at Lowe's, actually, I was very lucky in that there were, I had some amazing female leaders. There were actually quite a few women in the C-suite at Lowe's. And I guess when I noticed as a journalist covering luxury travel that there weren't quite as many women in the business, but that had started to change and it was really getting exciting. But like I said, I didn't feel that there was enough attention paid within the trade space. And so I spoke to some colleagues and friends in the business and I said, would you read this kind of a thing? And everyone was like, yes, that would be amazing. And we've started this community now. Really, that's what it's become. So the idea was a media play, but actually it's really become part of a community-like feel. We've started to do events, and we've now profiled over 600 women that all work in the hotel business. So it's been incredible. I mean, everything from CEOs to housekeepers to recent grads. So we really try to get the perspective of women at all levels of their career and really to inspire women at all levels of their career.
Absolutely, and some of those incredible stories on stage with you at a panel, Advancing Women in Hospitality was the panel today, sharing some incredible stories. And I think, we had a series over the summer called the Hospitality Campus Crawl, where we go to hospitality campuses, and I still think one of the most powerful ways that we can get more people involved in the industry is through stories. And again, you had the privilege of being up there moderating a panel of some incredible stories. Talk to us a little bit about those stories and today's panel.
Yeah, so I was really fortunate to be joined by some amazing leaders, female leaders in the business. So Dina Bellin, who's the president of Stay Pineapple Hotels, so they have 10 hotels across the U.S. Bettina Lant, who's the managing director of the White Elephant in Palm Beach, and Victoria Del Vecchio, who is the general manager of the Citizen M in Miami. So, different backgrounds, but really all in the independent space and quite accomplished women. So it was about how did they do it? What were some of the challenges that they faced, but also as we look at the industry overall, what are the challenges that women face in the industry, and then how do we overcome them? So I'd say two of the key things that came out of it is this idea of that, we need help in terms of mentorship and sponsorship. And is it harder for women to get mentors? Are they willing to, who do you go to if your company isn't a place where you get a mentor, or there's no structured program? Like, how do you find that? Where do you find your community? So hertelier is a bit of that. We try to connect women with other women in the industry. And then the other key thing was about how women need to advocate for themselves, and this idea, and actually Bettina and Victoria both said this, that they felt that earlier in their career they never really had learned this idea that they needed to advocate for themselves, and they just thought, well, I'm working really hard and I'm getting the job done and I'm doing more than what's expected of me and I will be rewarded for that. And they said, actually, you need to find your voice and you need to speak about your own accomplishments and tell your bosses about it and tell your colleagues about it. So whether that's, on a weekly, monthly, quarterly basis, writing down, okay, I've done this, this, and this, and then sharing it with your colleagues. So I feel like that was one of the strongest tips, was about this idea of self-advocacy.
Yeah, no, it was fantastic, really inspiring and powerful in there. Got a lot of great questions and engagement from the audience and crowd, which was really cool to see. But you talked about the explosive growth of of Hertelier and really it being very organic, but you use social media as a vehicle, as a tool to grow that community. Can you talk about where social media sits with Hertelier and how you really used it to grow the space?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that LinkedIn has been amazing for Hertelier. I mean, we started with just an idea, and thanks to LinkedIn and I would say somewhat Instagram, we've now got 9,000 followers on LinkedIn and growing all the time.
Yeah.
So it's been a great way. Also, again, our mission is to raise visibility and awareness about women as thought leaders, as important people in the business. I mean, if you think about business leaders in America today, is like, who do you know? Warren Buffett, or maybe the occasional woman like a Sarah Blakely will come to mind, but mostly you think of men, Jamie Dimon, you think of the CEOs that are men. And we really want to be getting that visibility for women who are in hospitality. And when you think about, in the hospitality space, most of the CEOs that come to mind, Anthony Capuano. And so it's really, that's been the mission, is just to raise the awareness and inspire women. But in terms of the social media piece, yeah, LinkedIn's been huge for us, and just putting content out there that, people can engage with. Yeah. Either to cheer people on, like, supporting others, or commenting on a hot topic. So for example, last week was International Housekeeping Week, and we did a hot take that, with technology and AI, that actually housekeeping could be one of the employees that might be the only employees guests interact with.
Yeah.
And the importance of that position in the industry, and how if that role is really being elevated thanks to technology. So
yeah. It's so cool, and I'm sure it's super validating to see that explosive growth, people engaging, commenting, cheering each other on. That is definitely something that we need in our industry. So thank you for the powerful work you and your team are doing over there at Hertelier, and thank you for joining me on The Sweet Spot.
Thanks for having me on The Sweet Spot. So nice to meet you, Ryan.
Pleasure.
Okay.
We'll talk to you next time on The Sweet Spot.